Hi, it's Josh Turner, and today we're going to take a look at how to play my arrangement of Crazy by Willie Nelson. If you'd like to see the original full performance video where I play this song along with the amazing vocalist Allison Young, you can click the little card up in the corner, or you can click the link in the description to the video. This is a fairly challenging arrangement, mostly because it's not repetitive. The original song, the structure of the song is repetitive, but the arrangement is somewhat through composed. But we're just going to take it one section at a time, and hopefully we're going to break it into some more digestible pieces. The song is in the key of B flat, which is the key that Patsy Cline sang it in, and we're going to be doing that by playing it in the shape of A with a capo on the first fret, and then there's a modulation at the end where we're just going to be playing in the same shape, but move the capo up a fret. A Kaiser quick change style capo is especially helpful for this little trick. There are a couple things that we need to know before we dive in. A couple of techniques that are going to sort of be part of the groundwork of this tune. One of which is that we're going to be picking with 4 fingers. This is really important for this particular tune. Another technique that we're going to be using pretty much throughout is using our right hand thumb for a percussive slap on the offbeats. It's a very popular technique in contemporary fingerstyle playing. There are, I think, plenty of videos on that technique out there. So I'm not going to go into depth on that one either before we dive in. But those are both things that you'll probably need to feel somewhat comfortable with before we start working on this tune. So we're going to go through this tune section by section, and you can use the time code in the description to jump right ahead to the end of the video where I will play through the arrangement in its entirety at a slower speed with no vocalist. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and take a look at the introduction. 1 and 2. This little slide into our A chord, and then the slide into the D6 chord are fairly straightforward, and we'll just arpeggiate it a little bit, bug-a-da-dum, like that. But then as we move into this next section, we're playing triplets with these fingers while playing straight eighth notes with the thumb. The song is in 6/8, and the rhythmic contrast between these two parts during this section, the duple and triple feels, is part of what makes it just swing really nicely. So you might try and get a handle on this introduction part by isolating these two, the two rhythmic ideas that are happening here. One of them is the triplet feel. And the bottom is going, when you're able to combine those two things, first slowly and then up to speed, that's sort of the key to the introduction. Now let's take a look at the first A section of the song. 1 and 2. So, what we're working with here this little motion that starts off the A section is one of the central motions of the song that does repeat a lot of times. With this da-da-da melody here that we really want to bring out in the top voice. So I'm rolling up, thumb, index, middle, ring, and then coming back down. we really want to be conscious that we're keeping this bass line feel going throughout this throughout the tune here, having the feel of like a piano comping while a bass player is playing and a drummer is doing rim shots all at the same time is what we're sort of trying to achieve. It's what makes slowing this down necessary but challenging, because that sense of groove that you get when all three of the parts are combined is kind of lost a little bit. But we're sliding up into an F sharp shape here. Just a little piano ornamentation type thing in between the vocal phrases there. This is in E7 add 9 shape here. Classic little blues motion. E augmented, and so I'm doing this by laying my index flat, but this is a little tricky depending on how big your fingers are, because you also need the high E string to ring during this section. You may choose to play this with 4 fingers instead. Or a little A sharp diminished. So all of this is basically just things that the pianist would be doing to fill in between vocal lines that we're trying to sort of imitate on the guitar here. So now we're on to the second phrase of the A section. I knew you'd love me as long as you wanted. We'll just go like this. So there's a couple of tricky and interesting little voice leading-y things that happen in this second A phrase. This is like before, except we're going to do a little pull-off here, because that's a very spicy thing. It's reminiscent of Willie's gypsy influences. This is just like before, but then, right after we play that lick, we're going to play a little diminished lick here. This is 6, 5, 5, 8, and we're barring with our index. But it's very quick because we're then going to the major dominant 7 version of that same voicing, which is 7, 8, 5, 8. And then we're going straight to, we're barring 8. This is 8x 7 8 6, and then we're repeating that. This is all of this sort of weird twisty shit is in the interest of keeping the ba-dum bass line happening while the chords are moving around. So let's just play through that slowly one more time. So. So that drops us off at the transition into the B part of the song. In the original version, the transition is fairly simple. It's just like a somebody new. type of thing, which is lovely and elegant, but I decided to obfuscate it and make it needlessly complicated. So my version goes like this. Somebody new. So this first shape is an E minor 7, open E, 6, 8, 8, an A, 7, add 9, or an A7 with a 6 in it as well, whatever we call that. Jazz people, sue me. It's an A7 with a 6 in it as well. This is 0, 6, 7, 8, which is then going to an A7 with a little augmented flavor to it there. This is a open A, 6, 7, 7, and then we're going to be barring the these 4 strings with the index so that we can get the high E string, which is just adding some 8th fret with the pinky. And then we're going to go up to this next shape, which is a D6, which is D string, 10, 8, 10. Which then goes to 10, 8, 8. And that's a harmony with worry. So that whole turnaround slowly, 1 and 2 and and then we got to be back into our 8th note clicks. Alright, so now we're into the B section of the song. Worry, why do I let myself worry? This part we're going to be doing a harmony on the guitar with the vocalist for the first time. So in addition to all the other things we've got going on, we're going to be playing a harmony. 1 and 2. A lot to pick through in this section, but we can do it. So, it starts with this little shape here on worry. Bluesy little lick there for our bass line continuation, utilizing the open D string. I'm using my middle finger there to bar the two high strings. Back to our first shape that we're using on the D chord, but now we're using it on the A. But we only hang out there for 1 quarter note because then we've got to get up to play this little piano lick, which goes like this. This is reminiscent of something that's going on in the original recording. There's just like bluesy piano stuff in the background here. And so we're sliding up into this first thing at 15 and 13. And that's 16 and 15 with a little hammer on there. And then a quick position shift. We'll walk down on the G. It's a satisfying little thing, although it can happen, it goes by really quickly in context, it can be easy to miss. So then this little chromatic motion is straight from the original. We're just playing some bar chord shapes here. then I'm shifting down here to play our 5 of 5 chord, because I think it sets us up more easily for this little motion that we're about to do. So here's a bluesy piano lick, repeated but just in a different spot. This is like a B7 shape, B7 augmented. And then this is like our little D7 shape that we've just moved up 2 frets. The B minor 7, E, and then a D. And we're out of the weeds. So now we've arrived at the last A section of the tune, and it starts out like the first A section, but then has a different ending. So it goes like this: 1 and 2. All familiar so far. But then we hit an A7. And then we've got this little motion, which is playing a counter melody as well as the chords at the same time. So the melody here is crazy for crying and crazy for trying and crazy for loving you. And so in this part we're playing the chords, which are crazy for crying and crazy for crying and crazy for loving you. But we're also playing this counter melody, which goes crazy for crying and crazy for trying and I'm crazy. And so getting those both happening at the same time is sort of our central challenge. And the way we're going to do that is starting with this shape up here. So this is a little bit of a stretch, no doubt, but it's 11, 12, and then we're going to be barring, and then we have to bar the D, G, and B with our index, so that we can play this shape in a second. And see if you can fit a slap in there too. And then the next shape is a friendlier minor 7 shape on the 4th fret. But we're going to be bringing out this little melody. And then back up here to this bar chord shape, but mercifully we don't have to play the low E string this time. We're just going to be barring all the way across with our index finger, with our pinky up on 12 and our index on 8. Very Debussy little moment there. And then we're going to jump way down here to an F sharp 7E type thing. And so this is our ring finger on the low E, 2nd fret, or 3rd fret, and our 1st finger on the 2nd fret of the G string. So it's kind of like it's like an E major over F that we're resolving to an F sharp dominant. And then we just do a quick little turnaround again. And I'm crazy to keep that harmony going. Crying and I'm crazy for loving you. And then we're out of the weeds. One more time. And that is probably the hardest part of the song. So once you've got that down, you're doing pretty dang well. Next comes the key change, and everything after that is pretty much repetition. But if you're, if you're somebody who feels really comfortable playing closed chords for an entire section of a tune, then the capo move might not even be necessary. But I come from the folk world, where if you can use a capo to make your life easier, do it. So that's why I put this in here. So as soon as you've played the strum, you can basically take it off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so that you have 2 eighth notes to come around and get your hand in place. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then you just have to be really fast and you've got a second to play this open note as you're moving your hand back around from here to here. So at speed, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we'll do it a little bit slower just to hear that one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we're into this section. I really also like the sound of the open E, which you can't really get if you're barring this section, but I don't know, that's just my opinion. I don't know, all these open strings just sound so nice. And you really have to do the capo move in order to get that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1. That one wasn't perfectly clean, but you get the idea. And then this is all the same as before. This is the same as the intro, except 1 fret higher. And I'm crazy for loving you. Exactly the same as the intro. And then we just end it with a little D6, C sharp minor, B minor, hammer on from like an E thing over A to an A. Give it a little diddle. And that's how you play my arrangement of Crazy by Willie Nelson. One, two, three, 4, 5. fermata. Ah. There you have it.